Hello, and welcome to Congress for Global Communications. I'm Dr. Sonia Robinson, President and founder of CGC, as well as Special Advisor to Good Health and Wellbeing Team. This episode today represents Sustainable Development Goals number 3, Good Health and Wellbeing. Your struggles do not define who you are. It's basically how you handle them. So you need to make time for your self-care. And what's going on in the world today, the world that we live in, it will take years off of your life. So sometimes you just have to shut down and go into someplace deep just to think about and reflect. Little bitty things will eat at your soul. And when you get tired, you begin to live differently. And past things, if you don't correct them, will mess with your soul as well. So if you don't deal with your soul, it will deal with you. So our guest today, we have a health and wellness therapist, we have a pastor, we have a cardiologist, and a trauma therapist. So some of the things that we're going to discuss today, they're going to answer questions. They're going to tell us the challenges they went through. They're going to just be open and share. And so what we're going to ask you to do is if you have any questions, put those in the feed. If there's something that's really eating at you, put those in the feed. Because one thing that I've learned, as you go through grief, because this is the holiday season and all these things tend to, just show themselves during the holiday. And with everything that we've got going on and everything that's going on in the world, this is the prime time it's going to show itself. And I'm going to share this with you real quick because I'm trying to keep on track here. But it was about 3 weeks ago, I had gone to California and I was doing some things to help my father, who's 87 years old. And there were some things that were going on, and I found myself going at him, and he was coming at me, and I'm looking at it for a contractor to replace the roof, and I got the contractor calling me, complaining. He's complaining, and I found myself in a bad situation. And when I came home, I was actually going into depression just from everything that was going on, but I had to take some time out for me. And I used that weekend to just have a conversation with God to ask him to help me and share with me what I needed to do. And 2 days later, I had my answer. And I'm telling you, when I sort of shut the contractor down and told him what I was going to do, what I wasn't going to do, I put everything back over in the hands of my dad, because it's like, how do I keep this relationship with this man and me be okay? But I had to think about me. So that's some of the things that, I want you to pay attention to. And if you have anything that you want to share or add to it, please put it in the feed, because we have the professional people here today to help you. Now, I'm going to start out by bringing out my co-host today, who's going to she's going to talk us through this. And every now and then I'll just jump in if I have anything to say. So at this point, I'm going to bring out Tara Wallace, and ask her to share a couple things about herself, just so you'll, get the idea. So Dr. Tara.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you're listening from. Thank you so much, Dr. Sonia. I listened to your story about the situation with your dad, and I said, she just talked about our whole program. This is literally our whole program, what we're talking about. There's so much going on in the world. There's so much going on in people's lives, and that combination of things, if you don't deal with it, you're right. You are absolutely right. It is going to deal with you. And that's why we've got all of these amazing people here with us today that are going to talk about health, wellness, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. All of these things play a role, especially during the holidays. And so we want to make sure that people get answers to some questions, that people are equipped with what they need, or get some information on where they can go. So I'm going to bring out my team, and I'm really not sure who we have coming up first because I didn't put them in any particular order. They're all amazing in their own right.
Okay, well, I'll go from there. Let me see.
So we've got Coach Nisi, who is actually on duty this weekend, this whole time, but she took a break and she's going to join us and tell us a little bit about herself.
Hey everybody, my name is Coach Shanicia Ewing. I am the CEO and owner of Uncovering the New You. What I focus on is mainly lifestyle change with your nutrition, your health, your wellness, holistically, doing it naturally, focusing on self care, habitual life change, and really focusing on just how do I continue to live my life, a balanced life, and still being able to do it healthy.
Thank you so much. We also have Miss Felicia Glass, who is a grief counselor and one of the most dynamic grief counselors that I've ever met. So, Felicia, would you like to introduce yourself?
Well, hello. My name is Felicia Glass, and I am a private practitioner here in Topeka, Kansas. I've been in private practice 17 years as of October, and I'm really excited to be here. While my specialty is grief, I will say that I absolutely love helping people develop their mental health because we know that all of our health is connected to where we are in our mind. So if I can help someone have a healthy mind so that they are able to get in touch with the rest of their body, then I want to be in that space.
Thank you so much, Felicia. Next, we have Dr. Ahmed, who is also at work, but he took a break to join us here. Dr. Ahmed, could you introduce yourself to our guests?
Yeah, hi. My name is Dr. Sayed Ahmed. I'm here in Flint, Michigan. I have a private practice. I've been in practice for almost 25 years. I'm an attending and an associate professor at Michigan State University. And the reason why I wanted to participate in this general conversation and health upbeat is because I would want to make sure that I can help people in terms of preventing the disease. I take care of the disease for a long period of time, and I've taken care of the disease for a long period of time, but I'm more in prevention so that we stop growing the disease and start making more healthy people around us at any time, around this time especially, but any time of the day or any time of the year.
Thank you,
Thank you
Dr.
for
Ahmed.
inviting me.
Thank you. And finally, we have Dr. Dan. Can you give us an introduction of yourself?
Absolutely. First of all, thank you, Dr. Sonia, for inviting me to be a part of this panel. I want to express my deep respect and appreciation for my co-panelists. I love what I've heard and what you're doing to help people. What a great thing it is that you're doing. My ministry is really unconventional. I don't pastor a traditional church. My ministry, my wife and I, Sharon, it has just grown out of 30 plus years of just relating, walking with people, discipling people, getting involved in people's lives. We've had groups that have met in our home for discipleship for over 30 years. We get involved in other people's groups in other nations. We really believe in just serving humanity and forming that relationship and seeing how we can help people be healthy. We are the parents of 7 children who are all now graduated, and we have just moved into a maternity home where we live full time serving young women who have decided to keep their babies but need help transitioning in life. So that's where we're at.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dan. This is an amazing panel of individuals. So I'm going to jump right in and start off with Coach. Can you give us the vision, the mission, and the purpose of the Good Health and Wellbeing team?
Well, the mission is simple: good health and well being, right? We teach you how to really bring the mind and the body together, right? From all facets of the emotional, the mental, the spiritual, the physical. And we also have some, in other areas of our life the financial too, right? We kind of cover everything. And so really the vision is to be able to provide resources for everyone around the world on how we holistically can take care of ourselves regardless of our economic situation, regardless of the area of the world we're in. And also too being able to understand that sometimes when we channel into ourselves, our minds and our bodies will connect easier as well. So we learn to focus on self and we learn how to focus on others as well within our community.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So I have one question, and I'm going to jump through with these questions and have all of you maybe answer one, or if you feel the need to add on, go ahead and add on to whatever anybody else has said. But this question is for everybody, for all of you. Why are the holidays important for good health and well-being? Go for it, Coach.
Well, you know me, for I always talk about the holidays bring on good eating, right? The holidays bring, many people are emotional eaters. And so that's, from my experience, I have noticed that I get abundance of people who eat around the holidays. I think we all celebrate around with food in the holidays, and food can be a comfort, but it also can be a crutch as well. When we're missing family, we're missing friends, we're missing our loved ones, or things that we used to do and we don't. And so good health and well-being around the holidays, it is essential to really focus on how do we get through the holidays without sabotaging ourselves, or overeating or trying to, bury feelings that we're trying to, or how do we cope throughout the holidays? For me, it's super important to really focus on family, the family that I still have around, and love on them while they're still present. The holidays can bring on some really, really bad memories, sad memories, emotional memories. So instead of being under, I want to be on top of it by learning some self-care techniques and loving on the family that's here.
I'm going to piggyback after that. I absolutely love the idea that we talk about the impact of holiday eating on the body. I think that it's important that we recognize that in the holidays, it's absolutely okay to set boundaries. And you'll probably hear me say that 50,000 times. So as Coach Nisi is talking about, having health and balance with our food and watching where we put our emotions and how we use food to comfort our emotions. I also like to talk about the idea that the holidays is really where we get that fulfillment, or as Coach Nisi said, that high or being on top, because we tend to surround ourselves with people who we love or we enjoy spending time with. So I think when we talk about health and wellness and the holidays, I've been encouraging people to choose to be around those whom you really want to be around, not just being in places where it's just expected that you're there. I'm encouraging people to set expectations, set time limits. You know what? I do want to see my family, but they start to get on my nerves after about an hour. So I'm going to spend 1 hour here. So I have a totally different mindset when it comes to the holidays and health. Yes, there's the food aspect, but I also want to encourage people to be mindful of the balance of emotional input and output, recognizing that we need just as much good coming in as we face the bad that may be sitting within.
Yeah, and I want to share real quick about what I see as the importance of holidays. Is it's really a place where we have a foundation for our identity, who we are, because the holidays is something that we gather with others of like mind and like values, and to focus on our identity. Who are we as a people, as a family? And as you said, there's good and there's bad memories associated with the holidays, but it's the good and the bad over time that works together to form an identity. If we don't overcome bad times, who are we? We're only someone based on our conditions being just right. So, family and our extended community, those that we love and associate identity with, the holidays are a time when we stop and say, okay, there's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of distractions, a lot of confusion. There's a lot of uncertainty in our world, but this is a time where we're going to stop and we're going to rest and we're going to embrace those that we love. And there's so many healthy things, body, soul, and spirit, that get reset for us, in our life. And so having those times through the year where we do that with people of common like vision and those that we love, to have that rest and that reset, is one of the healthiest things we could do.
Okay, I guess it's my turn. So I'm glad that you guys have already touched the social aspect of it. I don't do a lot of social aspect of health, but I do now. I used to always encourage people to be healthy around the holidays, because holidays have got a couple of things. Culturally, it's a little different from me for coming from a different culture. But again, holiday season is a holiday season where we can all have enjoyment and achieve success, whatever we have, enjoy success what we have achieved. And also, if not, then we can reset ourselves and go on to do something better for ourselves down the road. So yes, again, a holiday doesn't mean that you spend unnecessarily and you eat unnecessarily. You do everything in the right balance. That will be my message to everyone who is listening, is that holidays should be fun, enjoyment, getting together with the family, friends, co-workers, people like you and me. We can give this message. This is also part of our requirement, that we can also do it for our community. So this is what I feel, that we should be encouraging our community, our friends, and our families to do that over the holidays, now and for later.
Mhm.
And I would like to add to that what Dr. Ahmed said. I always tell my clients that if you're full, if you sit down and you eat all of this food, how can you enjoy your family? Because I know that if I eat too big of a meal, I'm gonna get what they call the itis, right? And I'm gonna lay back and I'm gonna want to go to sleep. And by the time I wake up, I'm ready for round two or three. And I'm not even thinking about enjoying the time laughing with my mother, my father, my grandparents. I'm not going to be able to really enjoy that time. And so I tell my clients all the time, let's enjoy our family, right? You don't necessarily have to um, restrict yourself from that, but understand you have to enjoy the family, enjoy the time, because that's what the holidays are about. Spending time with the people that you rarely get to see. We work, I mean, a crazy hours, and we barely get to see and love on our children, our husbands, our wives, our grandparents, those that we don't get to see often. And so, yes, there's a healthy balance, but there's also a balance too of making sure that you are well within yourself, being able to just love on your family, because you don't know the next time you're going to be able to do that.
This question is for Dr. Ahmed. I know that you're a cardiologist. I don't think you mentioned that you were a cardiologist. You deal with broken hearts and all that other stuff. But I know right now I'm working with you on some other things in order to lower my blood pressure, my cholesterol. What is your take on those type of issues when you're during holiday season? How
Well,
should you address that?
so generally, this is what I recommend people, is that when you around the holidays, it does not mean that the holidays are meant to eat. There are so many other things that you can enjoy. We revolve everything. Besides the holiday season, we have football season, we have basketball, we have got hockey, we have got everything. We have got food everywhere. Wherever we go, there is food. But again, don't treat food as your friend, but treat your food as a fuel that's going to get you through it. And you have to understand different portions. This is what I talked to Dr. Robinson also, is that what I believe is that if there is a one message that I can give it to people, is to think about two things, is to eat less and also eat in a timely fashion. Don't just be grazing all the time, and what we call it in English as snacking now, because this is the reason why the whole world has got, we have 493 million people who are diabetic full blown, and we cannot control it, because food is available. And this is the same thing, that if the food is available doesn't mean that you have to eat all of it. You can enjoy it, eat little, increase the amount of fiber in your diet, increase the amount of protein in your diet. And this comes to the holistic part. this will naturally and will improve your health. Once you improve your health, your gut health will improve your mental health, and and the reverse is true also. But I also feel this in this day and age, because there's so much of availability of food, which is not the best quality of the food that we have unfortunately available all around the world. We should be rationing ourselves and self-control. And as I give this example to people, is there anybody who's going to take care of you? Is you.
I like that. So, Dr. Med, and this is for you specifically, but anybody else can jump in here. So, what culturally influences how people feel and how they behave during the holidays? I wrote down, when you all answer that first question, identity, family, and then boundaries. All of that comes into play, but generationally and culturally, how does that influence what people do?
I can give you the answer on the cultural background, because obviously, I did not grow up celebrating Christmas and Thanksgiving. But again, this holiday season is different. But over the period of last 35 years, I've been here, uh, and our families, and we have adopted the culture. But culturally, people just enjoy the holidays. No one that I know from my community and from my cultural background, or even different cultural background, they all enjoy holidays. The only thing is that we need to educate them in terms of that holiday doesn't mean that you just have to go out as far as expenses are concerned and self-care. So it is harder in teaching our cultural group of people as compared to on a social basis. Obviously, I cannot teach all of this at a professional level. So I try to educate people in terms of, first of all, educate myself that what I need to do to take care of me, and then I talk to you and educate you. People who are educated or less educated, you need to come to that level. And I'm going to tell them that you need to eat 30 grams of fiber, 100 grams of protein, and 340 calories. Some people would not understand all of this just the way I will explain it to a person. So I need to switch roles. I need to put different hats when talking to people and educating people, as compared to uh, as compared to just any straight blanket statement that I can make.
So, Felicia, tagging on to that, um, the holidays tend to increase anxiety because people are worried about getting Christmas dinner, Thanksgiving dinner. Oh, we have to shop and all of these things. So, what do you say when someone comes to you and they're telling you that they're feeling all these anxious feelings, especially culturally, because the younger generation has the mindset that money grows on trees. And so, when I give you my Christmas list, I expect Christmas morning to look like this.
Absolutely. So, what I find is that it's very important to encourage people to model behavior in terms of what the expectation should be. So, in modeling behavior, we model that it's okay to be anxious. And I accept that I'm anxious. My responsibility is to acknowledge it and then tell my anxiety what to do, not necessarily allow my anxiety to control me. So I have people who come into my office and say, you know what? It's absolutely normal for you to be anxious. I talk to them about, I hold my anxiety in the top of my belly. I acknowledge it, I feel it, and I say, you know what? Something must be making me anxious. Let's figure out what that is. So I encourage people to talk to their bodies, say, acknowledge where in their body they're feeling that anxiousness. I want them to recognize that the body actually doesn't have control, but they get to dictate with that anxiety where it's gonna go. Like, I see you, I feel you. Okay, we're gonna move on to the next thing, right? The other thing is addressing what is causing the anxiety. So for the holidays, I think it comes back to recognizing, simple things like I remember giving my kids a play money set and saying, okay, the holiday season is up on us. You're going to get paid X number of fake dollars for X number of chores. And it had a limit. Maybe that limit was 150. Maybe that limit was 200. And they could earn that amount of money, which equated real dollars that I would spend on them in the holiday. Guess what? They either worked really hard or they didn't. And their Christmas reflected how hard they worked to get that. So one of the things that I recommend is that we, as a culture, we recognize that at some point in life, the sooner we teach kids that they have to earn the things we give them, the easier it will be when they get older. So they're not 21 giving you these ridiculous lists, right? The other thing is that it's important that we recognize that we teach people how to treat us. So we teach people whether or not a thank you and a you're welcome are essential as a part of our relationship. We teach them whether or not we're going to give our all and expect nothing in return. We also have to remember that holidays are really about relationship and celebration, not gifting. And that I encourage people to also recognize that time is a gift. So my kids are at a place where it's like, Mom, are we taking a vacation? Are we going somewhere to be together? They're not asking for game systems. They're not asking for new shoes or new clothes. They're actually at a place where they want time with us as a family. So I think that if we learn or we encourage and begin to change patterns and teaching people that, one, it's okay to acknowledge that I'm anxious. Most people are. I get to dictate to my anxiety how much power and control it has. And then we get to model appropriate and healthy celebration, meaning I get to put limits in place. There I go again with that word, boundaries and limits. I get to put those boundaries in place to establish healthy relationships for my children and my adult loved ones too, right? Because my grandma will call and be like, oh, Lisa, I want like 5 new outfits. And I'll be like, Mama, you got 5 new outfits you didn't wear last month. Can we start with 1? You know, so giving people limits and talking about what those realistic expectations, not just what they can expect of you, but what you can expect of them as well. Two-way street.
Thank you.
I like that.
Coach, I want to piggyback on that really, really quick as far as traditions go. I want to say it was Dr. Ahmed that talked about how, and Felicia as well, how people plan their holidays around these big meals. And that's because that's how most of us were raised. You know, you prepared for this big meal and then you prepared to go shopping the next day or at midnight or whatever. Changing traditions. I introduced a 5K. Instead of us going shopping, all of the females in my family did a 5K. Now, if I could have recorded the conversation that happened when I suggested it, when I ordered shirts, and when we were standing outside in 40 degrees getting ready to do a 5K, it would be some really colorful conversation because they were not feeling that.
Nice.
It was a tradition that I wanted to introduce for all of us because all of us have family histories of diabetes, heart conditions, all of these things. And so I wanted to start a new tradition because there were so many nieces present. I wanted them to see that you don't have to plan your holiday around this huge meal. So what would you suggest to individuals that are in that position, but have the mindset, but not necessarily the support system to make that kind of cultural change?
Well, you know, in all honesty, I always say, look at what does your family do, right? What do they like to do? I know that in my particular group with some of my clients, I always introduce, listen, if your family likes to play football, do a family football day, while everyone's cooking and eating, let's do football, get outside and get some football in. Or if you like to play cards, do that. Let's go for a card game. If you like to actually, run, do a hack and sack game, get out and get active depending on the area that you're in. But look at what collectively everybody can do and have some hands-on activity. I'm all for, getting outside and running around with the family and doing things that are fun. You know, you want to make it fun. Even for my grandmother, she likes to get up, move around. We like to line dance, turn on the music up loud, and everybody has a good time. But that brings activity, it burns calories, it gets everybody ready to eat, you know, to the degree, doesn't necessarily, but they're not going to want to eat as much because they're going to be tired, right? And so, you know, really just incorporate everybody from the old to the young about what they can do. Some new songs, old songs, tell them what they're missing, you know, bring in that cultural vibe of what your family enjoys outside of food. Because there's things that we do, you know, that doesn't always revolve around food, you know? So yeah.
Thank you. Dr. Dan, I wanted to ask you from a spiritual perspective, when those cultural practices come up and not everybody in the house wants to participate in that, some people want to sleep in. They don't want to get up and go to church and hear anything. They want to sleep in, wake me up when you get home, and it's time for breakfast type things. So, what do you suggest?
Well, those are difficult lines to walk, but it really comes back to family. You know, when the holiday comes, hopefully you have established a relationship as a family to where you can navigate those issues with honesty and with respect. And hopefully this is not the first time that we have tried to have a conversation. But as a family, we know how to navigate those difficult questions. And, you know, as a parent, you know, sometimes we do have to help our children be a little more disciplined. And because we know that the, I don't want to use the word lazy, but maybe we should use the word lazy. Maybe the path of least resistance is not the best path.
Mm-hmm.
And so what happens is when you take a moment and you maximize it, or you work the best case scenario into that moment, and then you build another moment on top of that moment, next thing you know, 4 or 5 years down the line, those things that you struggled with have become values for them. And so it's a difficult thing sometimes in the moment, but if we can keep the bigger picture of the character and the vision that we have as a family is actually being created in that moment, and that will help us, I think, navigate those difficult places. And as long as we do it in love and under mutual understanding, then it works out well.
Thank you. So, several of you mentioned self-care. Give me a um, a tip that you use or that you recommend to people, because self-care is not something that everyone can do. Most people think that it's expensive. It's not expensive. You just have to be creative. So, I want you all to share with me some creative self-care tips that you use, especially during the holidays.
Um, I'll go first because mine is again related around um, well, health and wellness for me is like number one every single day. I put myself first every day in some way or another. Like I learn to be selfish with me because if I'm not taken care of, I can't take care of anybody else, right? So one of my biggest self-care tools is absolutely doing nothing. I have a time limit on when I actually entertain others on Saturdays and Sundays. And during the holiday seasons, I am if I get up and I cook and do my part, there's going to be a time limit where you cannot call mom, you cannot call my name, you cannot call, say, sis, daughter, like mom, I'm gonna call you back. This is my time. I mean, I put those boundaries on, and you have to because there are times where you're going to need that space. I mean, I do that every Saturday and Sunday. I tell my clients, I am off the clock. Don't call me. Don't, you know, I will respond back to you either Sunday afternoon or Monday morning. And so I put boundaries on my time, but also out of self care, I go for long walks by myself. Um, I will take my cell phone for self care. I mean, for safety, but I just go for long walks and maybe 5 6 miles and just walk and think. Like I just get away from the house, and that's my time where no one can bother me. And so I always do things that involve me, nothing that spends money because I'm not rich yet, right? And then also too on top of that, I don't want to always want to drive. So I find spaces and places for me to one, have alone time with myself. And when someone wants to call me and ask me for something, no, right now it's my time. And I learned to put my foot down on those things. That's a part of self-care, learning to say no.
No is a complete sentence. Dr. Ahmed?
Yes. That's actually very good. I probably will follow some of her tips because I cannot do things like what she is. She can do it by turning the phone away. I don't think I can. But again, for me, not for me, what I would do for me is definitely the most important part in my life for me is exercise and eating healthy. So I would not. My self care will be today. I'm not going to eat. I check my weight every day. I don't have a problem with the blood pressure because if my weight is up and down, that's a way of me telling me that is it a good day for me to indulge or it's not a good day for me to indulge. If I don't do that, it's just like brushing my teeth. If I don't brush my teeth regularly, I'm going to have cavities. I'm going to have an angry dentist. Similarly, with people have to understand that is that the minimum that you can do is from the cardiology point of view. I would expect people to at least check their weight. I tell people, if you every Sunday or every Saturday or whatever the day, some people work on the weekend, and whatever your day is off, you need to know. I cannot expect people to come and tell me, oh listen, I gained 40 pounds in 6 months. That is means that you are not really taking care of yourself. So, and also in the previous question, I wanted to add something is that I would not, I would, for me, I would not add things on the table which could lead to indulgence and limit the quality, limit the quantity and improve the quality of the food. That was an answer to the previous question from the
Yeah.
previous topic. But again, self care. My self care would be is to be eat what first of all exercise, health. If you are young and if you don't have a health issue, you still want to check your weight because I think the obesity is rampant in our society, in our culture, in our world. You don't want to keep on wearing bigger pants and bigger skirts and bigger extra long shirts and XL sizes.
Yeah. Yeah, I would just like to add to that. I know different times in my life I've been more disciplined than in other times in my life, and other people can probably relate to that. So if we can be have a little more forethought into our holidays, if I know that hey I'm going to overeat, I can't help it, then be preemptive. The day or two before, limit yourself to one meal, drink lots of water, and know that the day after I'm taking a day off for myself. If we can just be honest with ourselves and what we really can and what we really can't do for where we are at that time in our life, but then plan around that. Make sure you're going to get the rest that you need, the time for you that you need. Make sure you're going to drink a lot of water and just be wise about how you engage in that season. Because I know people that say, hey, it's a holiday, I know I'm going to indulge, I know we're going to have a party, and well, be wise about it. Plan the days ahead and the days after and make sure that you're maintaining a healthy lifestyle. You're not introducing an unhealthy lifestyle in at that time.
So for me, when it comes to self-care, Tara knows I am a sunrise, sunset person. So I want to take in nature. I want to sometimes my wife and I will even we go sunset chasing. So we try to go to various spots throughout the city to catch the impact of the sunset throughout the city. Sometimes taking pictures, sometimes not. But just to have that moment to appreciate the day, the gift that's been given. Um, Other things I like to do, I'm also very protective of my time. Don't start laughing, Tara, because she will tell you. I don't. This is even an exception because Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday are my off days. I don't take clients on Fridays and Mondays. I also don't take appointments of any kind. So I often tell people the only way someone has a scheduled time with me, outside of my friend Tara, of course, is that they're paying me. So when people are calling me, asking me for time on those 4 days, they're paying me. And I don't mean my regular pay. They're paying me extra because they're tapping into time that I can't get back personally. So in that personal time, I rest. Rest can look like sleep. Rest can look like watching my favorite TV show. It might look like reading a book. It may look like my daily devotional. It may look like prayer time. And I'm also going to reset. So, resetting is that what are the things that I need to clear out, right? So, it might look like clearing out my planner of all the junk or my purse of all the junk so that when I restart my week on Tuesday, I'm not carrying last week's stuff into the new week with me. So I tell people all the time, be protective of yourself and your time. So what are the things that I need most? I need rest. I need sleep. But I'm also someone who needs people. So I'm an energy connection person, if you can't tell. So I like to spend time with people, but I'm very particular. So yesterday I scheduled my Friday morning meetup with Tara. I scheduled lunch with my uncle because he's someone I absolutely love and adore. And in the evening, I spent time with a friend, someone who just one-on-one interactions, not someone needing me, not someone wanting something from me, just something where I could relax and enjoy.
And if I may add, what I will say, self-care does not mean that you always have to do something. You can literally just sit around and do absolutely nothing. People think, oh God, for self-care, I'm gonna go get my nails, I'm gonna go get a haircut, I'm gonna go exercise. Because that one of the things I told you was my self-care, to sit down and do nothing. That is like my Sundays. I put my feet up, watch football all day. My meals are already done. Usually Saturday evening, I get everything I need done. And if the laundry's not done, so be it. Guess what? I'm going to relax and that rest that Miss Glass talked about as well. People seem to put so much emphasis on what self-care is. Self-care can be you laying in the bed, meditating, praying, stretching, or simply looking at the walls because you want to look at the walls. It is what it is. So self-care is so different for everyone. And so many people say, I have no time for me. Yes, you do. We don't all, and I want to say this really quickly. We don't all have 24 hours in a day because if you think about it, you cut out that number of hours that you work, you cut out the hours that the time it takes you to get home, regardless if you work home from not, from the time you cut off your computer, you get out of your space, out of your workspace, the time it takes you after you have cooked dinner for your family or done whatever you need to do, the time that it takes you to get ready for bed, that is the time that you have right there. Like that's all the time you have. So we all do not have 24 hours in a day because it is being used in different emphasis. However, it's not about the 24 hours, it's what you do in that 24 hours. So maximize the opportunity. You can find 15 to 20 minutes. Self-care does not need to be an all-day thing. Now, it's great when it does, but it can be a 15-20 minute nap just for you, a 20-minute just sit down and breather in between clients. That can be just for you. You have to allot that time for you because we don't have 24 hours in a day to actually do what we do. I don't like that saying. We don't, because of all the other responsibilities that we carry on a daily. So don't put so much emphasis on the fact that you don't have time because we do. You just have to put your priorities over what you feel like is a priority. Makes a big difference.
Yeah.
One trick. Can I say one sentence? Well, I do one trick because I've got so many stops that I have to make between one hospital to another hospital. What I do is just sit in my car for 5 minutes and listen to the music. And then when the 5 minutes are up, I go, because if I take those 5 minutes, it's very rejuvenating and it helps me to reset. And I mean, I don't do a lot of things what you guys do, but this is the minimum that I do. And I feel that I've been doing it a lot lately because when you are going from point A to point B and you all day, although we live in a very small town here, but still there's a little bit of like almost like 25, 30 mile driving back and forth. So if you do that in that way, it just gives you a little bit of a reset, and you enjoy, especially on a day like this. You can always sit in the car for 5 minutes, and you can enjoy the sun also before you get to your next task.
You
That's
know,
really good.
go ahead, Dr. Dan. Go ahead.
Oh, I couldn't help but applaud what all of you are saying. You know, I think it's so easy for us to feel guilty that if I take time for me, and I think culturally we've allowed that to enter into the consciousness of our culture, that if I really stop and take care of me, then there's a sense of guilt associated with that. But we have to understand that I'm not going to be able to take care of other people if I don't take care of me. I'm actually loving
Correct.
other people by taking care of myself.
Correct.
You know, in the scripture, Israel at one point was outcast. They were outside of Jerusalem, and they came back and they regained their land, and they found their book of the law, and they began to weep because of what they had not done. They had not been doing what they thought they should have been doing. And the prophet interrupts and says, God said, no, stop being dismayed. It's time to celebrate. It was actually right at the time of a festival. And God said, no, my priority for you first is that you celebrate. My first priority is that you rest. Rest was associated with the festival. You've just come back into your land. Don't grieve what you didn't do. Celebrate what's about to happen and where you are now. And we have to be able to take those moments and disconnect from the disappointments. I think disappointments, even if we take time for ourselves, disappointments seem to linger. And but we have to learn, how do I disconnect, not only in theory, but how do I really lay down those things where I feel like I didn't do well? Because if I can really rest, then I can do something about it. If I really rest, I can be better. And so we have to turn our attention to, no, it's time to celebrate. It's time to rest. It's time to come back through a holiday to my core values and be around those that I love. Because in doing these things that we're talking about, I really can be a solution for somebody. I really can be effective in this life that I'm living. So we really have to learn to place value on those times of refreshing. God wants us to. He set a system in place that 3 times a year the whole nation would come to a dead stop, and they would all come up to Jerusalem and celebrate together. I believe this is one of the most central things in the heart of God, is that we would know how to stop and really rest and come back to what's valuable, and to disconnect from disappointment so that we can be refreshed, and we can then live a life that is joyful and effective.
So I have a question for all of you, and I see this a lot as well when we talk about self care, and mothers are good at this, because we do so much. We're a mother, we're a wife, we have to cook, we have to clean, we have to do all these things, and in doing that, sometimes you just wear yourself really thin, and then when you respond, you're really short. And I was having this conversation with someone the other day, and I says, really, you need to take time for yourself, because what's happening is you're disrupting your household. Because I'm listening to your tone, and, it's being reflected from your son. So, you need to take some time for yourself, because, again, it gets back to foundation when you talk about kids. You know what I mean? And it's like they're going to, you tell them to do these things, but what they're doing is they're actually watching what you do.
Yeah.
And in some cases, it's just going to roll over into the household. So how would you respond to someone with that? How would you tell them, well, you know what? Enough is enough. You need to go take some time out. You know what I mean? Because me, I'll stay in the bed all day and watch TV. But
Yeah.
I don't want to watch anything that's thought provoking. I just want to watch a movie where I don't have to think.
That's what my wife tells me all the time. Go take some time off.
Yeah.
Take some time off. Don't do anything. Don't go. Go to the gym, or go golfing, or just catch up on your emails, and you've got thousand of emails you have not responded. I mean, just it is from day to day, whatever we are doing. Sometimes we don't realize that it is impacting others too.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what we need to do. We need to also make sure that, even my office manager and my girls in the office, sometimes they say, you know what, you need to chill this weekend, because, people don't realize that it gets to that point. So that's part of the self-care, because otherwise you are affecting the loved ones and the people who are associated with you.
I have to say that I know this more. I relate to that story, Dr. Sonia, because I almost lost a relationship with my son, who's 16 years old. And I realized that mommy was so stressed out. We were getting ready to lose our apartment. I was ready to lose my car. I mean, I was literally going downhill to the point where all of my anger was like, listen, go away, go in your room, go find something to do. And he would pick up his little cell phone and he would call my mom, and my mom would call me and give it to me. Like, what is your problem? You don't talk to your child this way. And I did not hear her until my son says, Mommy, I don't want to be here anymore. So what I did was that I implemented. I said, okay, listen, mommy's got a lot going on. And he was like, well, what can I do to help? Baby, you're 5. There's nothing you can do. I thank you. But here is what we're going to do. Every day that I come home from work, give mommy 15 minutes to go in my room. Let me decompress, right? I'm going to put a timer out there. You set your phone on 15 minutes. Let me go in my room. Let me decompress. So if I need to shower, get on the phone, do whatever I need to do. Then after that 15 minutes, it's your time after that. Then we'll do whatever it is that we need to do. Homework, he says snacks and stuff would already be ready after school in the refrigerator. And so after that, a while, he started noticing that, okay, mommy's much nicer. Mommy is not listening because I did everything right. And he realized that, and our relationship grew from that, because he was like, well, mommy, why do you take this time? I said, because mommy's holding up everything. I was a single mom. And he did not understand that I'm bearing every burden that comes my way by myself. So I implemented this boundary with him by like, hey, give me 15 minutes, baby. And let mama just decompress for a moment. Let mommy come down off her high. And then you can give me another high by us playing a game. So really what I would say to anyone is understand where you are. Look at the people around you. If you know the people that normally love on you are not loving on you, that's when you need to check yourself first. You need to look at yourself and be like, or they're not responding to you, or they're not calling you, they're not wanting to be around you. You might want to check your own energy before you blame other people, because sometimes that's what we do. We'll blame somebody else for the way we feel and not realize it's us. And I didn't realize it was me. I just thought my son was being rebellious. But when my mother called me, and my mother doesn't cuss at me, my mother cussed at me. That I felt some kind of way, I was like, wait. And the fact that called and told on me, I was like, I was ganged up on, but I respected him, and I have that same thing. Every day I still come in. He's now at the age of 16. He does not overload me. He gives mommy time to come off her high, and he still uses that same method to this day. Even though I'm not a single mom, he still uses that method. My mama need her time. He say, "Mom, you ready to talk now? You good? You all right? How was your day?" And we decompress together, and we go from there. So it's something that he has instilled in him to make sure that he doesn't overload me as I continue on, because it was just something now, it's a routine.
I have so much respect for that, Coach Nisi.
Yeah.
For me, it was figuring out that I am still an early riser. And for me, it was watching how my kids would wake up. So it was about, you're laying in bed, you are screaming down the hall, it's time to get up, wake up, let's go, get dressed. And it wasn't a loving approach. It was, I'm tired because I done worked all week, or I done worked late, or whatever it may be. So I'm forcing this energy out that was projecting this harsh tone, that contributed to my kids waking up grouchy and going to school fussy and angry. And recognizing that on the days that I woke them up in that kind of aggressive way, that I would get more calls from the school. Like, I got a kid cutting up, and I got one, she will show out, right? She will cut up. And she's the one that I'd be like, Tara, you better go get your niece, right? And what I found is that if I altered my behavior with them, then I would get different behavior out of them. So that
That's
was the
good.
turning point
That's
for
a good way of
me,
looking at it.
where I started waking up, and this is how my kids started getting breakfast every day. So every morning I would get up and make my kids breakfast every morning. So instead of waking up to me yelling down the hall, they woke up to the smell of bacon or eggs or toast or grits or sausage or whatever it is that I had. I woke up, she said, call me that every single day. And I did that every day until my kids were probably juniors and seniors in high school. And what I found is that my kids still to this day, some of them now will get up and make breakfast before they go to work. They will get up and say good morning to one another on their way out the door. When they come home from work, they find one another. I have a set of twins that are really inseparable, but they gravitate towards one another, even to the point that if they haven't seen each other, because that one that gives me the business works like all day, every day, they will message each other like, hey, I need to see your face. You know, I just messaged my daughter, hey, I need a date with you. And so I think that if we model good behavior, learning how to deal with our energies, how to channel that back, then they pick up on that and they learn how to exhibit healthy behavior when they're stressed. One of my kids will be like, Mom, I think I need a sunset tonight. You need a what? So they want to go out on the deck and they want to do sunset sittings with me. Absolutely. Let's go. My oldest daughter, the twin, she's like, Mom, do you have another meeting tonight? And when I start hearing her say that, do you have another meeting? Mom, you just walked in. Are you going to get on the computer again? That is my radar for me to be like, you know what? I do, but I'm not going to attend tonight. Because you know what? All of the meetings in the world will still go on whether I'm in them or not.
I agree.
That was perfect. That was perfect. That was a great question, Dr. Sonia. So we have a few minutes before we wrap up, and I wanted to check to see if we had any questions by any of our viewers. I've seen comments, but I haven't seen any questions. You guys have been amazing. I think we need to do another one of these. This whole combination of the information, the resources, the knowledge, and the wisdom.
Love to do it. Love to do it again.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Well, Dr. Ahmed said we're doing it again. So we're going to plan this for next month and figure something out, because I think that you are all giving so much richness, self-care.
I think we have not given enough to the community.
I agree.
Give more.
I agree. I got notes. I took notes here. You guys, I took notes. So I feel like we need to do this again. So I'm going to turn it over to Felicia to give us final remarks and a wrap up, because she does amazing at this. I can see why her kids asked for it. So we're going to let Felicia take it away.
So in closing, I just want to share that we have taken the time to just kind of give you tidbits of information about living healthy through the holiday, and recognizing that health isn't just about our food, but it's about our time, our body, and our collective self. Remembering that relationships are a key part of our holiday. And so as we close today, what I want to do is I want to share with you two things. One of them is that in everything that you do, you get to choose, and I challenge you to choose you. The second thing I want to do is give you a gift. I want to give you a gift of peace, a gift of love, and a gift of honor. You are peace in everything that you do if you choose peace. You are love in action. You are love in motion. You are love in your silence. And I need you to know that you, in and of yourself, just the way you are a gift to every single being that has the pleasure of being in your space. You owe yourself time to rest, the ability to restore, and confirmation that you are great restoration. I hope that you have a beautiful day and that you remember to choose you.